Boxing is often referred to as a sweet science. However, the sport's greatest matches were anything but strategic affairs. From blistering slugfests to unforgettable triumphs of will, the matches you will find on this list showcase all the elements that make the sport so great. This is Sports Plug TV, and here's our list of top 10 boxing matches all time. Go ahead and tap and subscribe. In at number 10 is the match between Micky and Arturo Gatti on May 18, 2002. From the opening bell, spectators knew they were in for something special. Every round ended up being a slugfest, but the shutdown in the ninth all but earned this match its lofty spot on this list. Both fighters barely had enough energy to even try and defend themselves, as they ferociously traded blows for the entire round. However, both fighters managed to escape the ninth round on their feet, and neither fighter wavered until the very end. When all was said and done, it was Ward's hand that was raised in victory via majority decision. But to this day, fans remember the fight for the tenacity, endurance, and durability that both fighters put on display. Checking in at number 9 is the brawl in Montreal between Sugar Ray Leonard and Roberto Duran on April 6, 1975. Considered to be the two best fighters in the world at the time, the winner of this fight would hold the title Best in the World. Their contracting styles only added more fuel to the fire, as it would go on to become the biggest prize fight in history at the time. The clash was a classic matchup of styles, as Leonard was a finesse boxer, while Duran was a brawler. However, in an unexpected move, Leonard stood his ground against Duran and brawled him flat-footed for most of the fight. The two would battle fairly even until the end, with most rounds being close enough to be scored to either fighter. But while Leonard was able to prove to the world that he could stand toe-to-toe with the best of them, it ultimately cost him the fight, as Duran was adjudged the winner by unanimous decision. Checking in at 8 is the finale of the rivalry between two proud Mexican warriors, Erik Morales and Marco Antonio Barrera. The rivalry spanned 5 years, and any of the three matches could have made this list. However, their third meeting on February 19, 2005 proved to be the clincher. An intense 12-round bloodbath, we saw the two fighters throw go-for-broke punches from the opening bell. Although neither man went down in the match, each looked like they survived a car wreck by the time the final bell rang. As close as it was, Barrera was the fighter who took the majority decision, laying claim to the battle and the war. Making the list at number 7 is a 12-round classic between Julio Cesar Chavez and Meldrick Taylor on March 17, 1990. Taylor was often compared to Sugar Ray Leonard for his flashy and exciting brand of boxing. Chavez, on the other hand, was one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world at the time. His unblemished 60-0-8 record, it certainly did not disappoint, as the two battered each other for 12 rounds straight. Taylor may have been winning the battle on the scorecards, but it was Chavez that ultimately won, as he wore down Taylor with one vicious shot after another, winning via TKO in the 12th round. Taylor's body definitely paid a price. His face was swollen, and his lip was bleeding so profusely that he nearly lost 2 pints of blood that night. At number 6 of this heavy-hitting list is a duel between Marvin Hagler and Tommy Hearns on April 15, 1985. More of a street fight than an actual boxing match, promoters billed this as The Fight. Little did they know that the boxing lore would simply refer to this as The War. Hagler swung for the fences on seemingly every punch that he threw, and in the third, Hearns could no longer stand up for the punishment. While Hearns was unable to beat the count after being knocked down in the third, the judge called the fight and awarded Hagler the TKO victory after a visibly shaken Hearns was unable to continue the fight. Hearns was hurt so badly after the fight, they had to help him back to the locker room. Now we're halfway on this brutal list. Make sure you're standing up for number 1, as we gonna knock your socks off. At the number 5 spot is the unbelievable back and forth clash between Diego Corrales and Jose Luis Castillo. This 2005 brawl for the WBC lightweight title on May 7, 2005 was one for the ages. A 10-round war of attrition between two illustrious warriors. The match saw both fighters trade shots for nearly half an hour, right before things reached a boiling point in the 10th round. After being knocked down twice by Castillo in the 10th, Corrales staggered to his feet and landed a miraculous right hand to the chin of El Terrible, Smelling blood, Castillo attacked and unleashed a flurry of punches on his opponent that forced the official to call the fight and therefore awarded Corrales the improbable victory. In at number 4 is the awesome battle between Aaron Pryor and Alexis Arguello on November 12, 1982. Arguello was not only out for blood, but also victory, as he was gunning for Pryor's WBA junior welterweight belt, which would have gave him a historic 4 world titles in 4 divisions, a record during that time. The fight was ferocious, as Arguello was landing some powerful blows while Pryor was relentless. Pryor stalked Arguello around the ring for most of the fight, and Arguello was barely able to shave him off at times. Pryor took the worst of what Arguello could have dished out to him, and he quickly bounced back every time. But fatigue would eventually settle in for both fighters near the end. However, there was a lot of controversy over the mysterious black bottle of fluid that Pryor's trainer, Panama Lewis, called for between the 13th and 14th rounds. It became more of a controversial talking point as Pryor went out at Arguello with renewed energy and gave Arguello a brutal beating that would eventually lead to the referee stopping the fight. Checking in at the 3 spot is the first match of what would become the most legendary rivalry in boxing history: Joe Frazier versus Muhammad Ali. First fight between Ali and Frazier at Madison Square Garden set the stage for the incredible trilogy that helped put the spotlight squarely on the sport. Ali had his sights on reclaiming the belt from Frazier after he was stripped from the world heavyweight title. He condemned the Vietnam War and refused to be inducted into the U.S. Army in 1967. With both fighters boasting of undefeated records, the level of hype for this fight was unmatched. A record $2.5 million was even guaranteed to both fighters. Billed as the fight of the century, the two battled evenly through the first 10 rounds, but Frazier was able to take the decisive lead in the 11th when he rocked Ali with a left hook that almost had him sprawled to the canvas. Ali managed to escape the ground and even got his legs back underneath him. However, Frazier landed another powerful blow in the 11th and then knocked Ali down early in the 15th on his way to winning via unanimous decision. Snatching the second spot on this list is the unbelievable match between Sugar Ray Leonard and Tommy Hearns. Scheduled for 15 rounds, the showdown at Caesar's Palace on September 16, 1981 was a unification title fight to see who would become the welterweight champion of the world. It was a seesaw battle between the two boxers, but in the 9th, Hearns turned the fight in his favor by using Leonard's aggressiveness against him. With Hearns ahead on the scorecards, the pivotal point of the fight occurred when trainer Angelo Dundee uttered the now famous words to Leonard in his corner after the 12th, saying, "You got 9 minutes, you're gonna blow it now, son, you're blowing it." And despite his left eye nearly being swollen shut, a strengthened Leonard went to work, punishing a weary Hearns and knocking him to the ground in the final moments of the 13th round. By the 14th round, it was clear that Hearns no longer had the energy to withstand the Leonard barrage, and the referee, Davey Pearl, put an end to the fight. And finally, the greatest boxing match of all time is of course none other than the Thriller in Manila, as the third and final fight between Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier. The Thriller in Manila took place in the capital city of the Philippines. The most hyped rubber match in the sport's history, the fight would not only settle once and for all who the superior boxer was, but also set their respective legacies in the sport. Ali controlled the early rounds by keeping Frazier at bay with his jab and scoring accurate shots at his head. Undeterred, Frazier turned to the tide of his favor and then went to control the middle rounds by bullying Ali around the ring. Ali had won their second fight via decision, but that outcome had been argued many times over. On this occasion though, Ali left no doubt as to who the winner would be after he gave everything he had in the 13th and 14th rounds, punishing Frazier as if his life depended on it. Despite Frazier's protest, his trainer, Eddie Futch, called a stop to the fight and handed Ali the victory. Now that concludes our top 10 greatest fights ever. We hope you enjoyed those unforgettable fights, and go ahead and give us a like, comment, and subscribe if you're new to the channel, you dig?